Yeah, this ring here is swollen as well, and it needs to sit back into there. I'm just having trouble pushing it back, because if you don't get it back far enough, then you can't get the hose onto the fitting properly. Okay, I think that's as far as it's going to go. So we should be able to apply a little bit of copper slip. I'm going to wipe the copper slip around there, so it gets wiped onto the end of the fitting as we put it together. And then where's it end up? I can't remember. Or is it that way up? No, it's definitely that way up, isn't it? There we go, that's gone on, that clip, and it's in place. Good. Okay, so all we need to do now down there is cap off that one. Right. I didn't send you that bit. Oh, that's a bugger. That's a bugger. I didn't get that bit. Okay. We're going to have to improvise the solution there. However, I'll show you this, because we disconnected two cooling hoses. If you remember, we took one from here, which had that bent pipe that went back into the top of the EGR cooler, and we disconnected one from down here, which went into the bottom of the EGR cooler. Now, this one, you can buy these. This came from House of Talk, but it's a BMW part. There you go. Freeze frame, and watch that back if you want. And then this, which way up? That way? There we go. Just goes on there like that. That's neat, isn't it? But that has got a spigot on it, which we have to put a hose and a Jubilee clip on and then cap that. So I'll have to find some relevant parts to do that with, because they didn't send one. Buggers didn't send one. I don't know where I've got another, but I'll find one. I'll find one. So we're going to have a couple of minutes break now. I'm just replying to a Facebook post from a guy called Connor Luke. Connor, if you're watching You just asked me, oh, we were talking about your TDV6 with a code 0088, a high pressure sensor, high fuel rail pressure sensor. And my suggestion that actually that code, when you look it up in the proper workshop manual, it says that code, although the title next to it is high pressure fuel sensor issue, it actually relates to a low pressure fuel system problem, and I fixed that on a 3.6 TDV8 with the same code by changing the fuel filter, because it was completely clogged because it had a dirty tank of fuel. So don't take it on face value when you read fault code. Yeah, let me know how you get on with that one, Connor. Right, yeah, there's that done. I don't need to check any of that. Right, put that down. Make myself a roll up while I contemplate whether I've got something to cap that off with, or if I need to order something. I probably need to order something because it comes up on every bloody TD6 I do. I forget to order that part, and then I can't cap off that. But that's alright, it doesn't matter, I can cap it off, I just need to get a part. So I shall order one. That's what I'll do, I'll order one. So what are we doing next? We've got this this intercooler hose. I do want to change the intercooler hoses on this car. They're very old. I don't think they're leaking, but it's the sort of thing that can become a problem at a later date. And so I do want to change them. I'm just not going to do it today because a set of intercooler hoses, silicone hoses for example, are about 90 quid. And I don't have the budget for that today. What we want to do is make the car work properly to start with. And once we've made it work properly, then the next thing to do will make it better and also more reliable, less likely to fail in the future. I'll give you an example. The Rough Rover, the other TD6 which I have, that has broken down a couple of times in the last 7,000 miles. Once because of an alternator failure, and the other time because this top radiator hose blew off underneath the inlet manifold there. There's a T-piece, plastic T-piece underneath the inlet manifold. The hose blew off of that, and I can only think that I had never put it on properly, and it had just slowly worked its way loose. But when it blew off, it wouldn't have been a problem, even though the car lost all its water and everything in a second. It wouldn't have been a problem, except that little washer and rubber ring and the metal clip were all lost when it came off. So I couldn't put it back on. And that's the sort of reliability issues that you can expect with one of these engines. If everything else is working, it's going to be something stupid like that that lets you down. So yeah, at the moment we'll make it all work properly, and then what we'll do is we'll replace these hoses. You know, a new top hose, for example, is about 30 quid. It needs a new bottom hose. That one is definitely on its last legs, and I will replace it. 20 odd quid. Intercooler hoses, about 80 quid. Yeah, it does add up. You know, just there we've spent 130 quid. But so far on this car, I've probably only spent 130 quid. So, and we'll do a toss up later on exactly what we have spent. So the other thing I want to do while I've got the front of the engine off is I'm going to change the auxiliary drive belt. got a new auxiliary drive belt for it. So we want to do that before we get too deep into the other parts of this fix. Okay, we do that. We'll do the auxiliary drive belt next. So when you do this, the first thing you have to do is release the tension on the air conditioning pump drive belt. To get the auxiliary drive belt off, which is this one, we need to take this one off, which is the air conditioning pump drive, and this is the tensioner for it down here, and that's hydraulic. So what I do is stick a lever in there and push down on it, and there it is. I'm going to put that back on, so we're not going to lose that one. Right, now the tensioner, one with a nut on the front, and it's a 24. So there's two idlers down here. And one of them has a nut on the front of it, and that's a 24mm nut. You just stick a spanner on it. Give it a really good lift off.